Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today. Thursday, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
September 10th, 2024. Hey, how about them Bears, huh? Look, hey, that's a solid win. They look pretty good.
It's a win's a win.
A win's a win. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching The Big Show, Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call today, see what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. I see you've had a busy last few days down in Rice Lake.
Yeah, I worked the weekend. We had some major cases. Only one person on the gym roster, but we had some major cases all weekend. So,
well, we'll get to that. And you had issued some press releases yesterday, and I have a question about one because that was weird. I got two press releases, which I didn't even realize they're about the same thing. So I almost published one, but one is from Rice Lake and one is from you. And I'm like, I've never had two press releases on the same time about the same thing. Like, I don't even know how to do this. Like, what do I do?
Right.
So we'll get to all that. But as usual, we like to start with a little bit of sports. Before we get into our picks, so we were doing 4 picks in the NFL each week, just picking 4 games. Last week was our first one. You went 2 for 4. I actually went 4 for 4, which I was getting a little worried there in a couple of those games.
I forgot to keep track.
I'm keeping track. As long as I'm winning, I'll keep track. Yeah. But our picks, obviously we had the Vikings. We both picked that one. Jeepers, where were they? You had the Packers. I had whoever they were playing. The 49ers. Hey, or the Jets. How do you think? Did you get a chance to watch Aaron Rodgers last night in the game?
Yeah, I think the Jets will be good. They're just playing the 49ers, who are phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean, 49ers have that running back that was undrafted or his third year.
I know.
It's crazy.
I know it. So I actively root against Aaron Rodgers every chance I can. But I'm not kidding. Holy cow. He started slinging it at the very beginning. I'm like, man, he has not lost anything.
And that hard snap count and everything he did for Green Bay all those years. It was,
I respect him. I just don't like him. But hey, before we'll get into we'll pick 4 games for this week. But real quick, college football thing. 2 big upsets in college football. Which one do you think the team should be more worried about? Michigan losing or Notre Dame losing? Those are 2 huge upsets, and they dropped. We're down in the rankings like 17th and 18th now.
Michigan played a ranked team. I mean, and that Northern
Illinois, yeah.
I mean, beating Notre Dame in Notre Dame, who's ranked number 5 in the nation, and they're like at NIA school. I mean, it was awesome. The emotion after the game, that's what it's about. That's what the game. That's why we love sports.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I that was by far the bigger loss and the more concern. Because let's face it, after Michigan won the title last year and Jim Harbaugh left and took all of his cheating ways to the NFL, and then they lost a whole bunch of players to the NFL draft, they were going to go backwards a little bit. We already knew this. So it's not that big of a surprise. And you're right, they played a ranked team. But Notre Dame losing, that's huge. I mean, that was huge.
I mean, how do you not beat a team like that?
Right?
Yeah.
All right. I know, again, anyone just joining us, we're going to be talking about the fatal head-on crash on Highway SS and the high-speed chase through Rice Lake. You had put out some of that information yesterday that we had posted. But before we get to that, our picks this week. So I'm 4 for 4, you're 2 for 4, so you're going to have to make up some ground here. Who do we want to go with? I know one I want to do for sure. That's Bills and Dolphins this Thursday. Okay. There isn't like a ton of storylines to that, but it's, if you look at like the line spreads this week, it's like the closest game of the week, or the second closest. It's only 1.5 point spread. And these are 2 teams that are considered to be really good or should be in the playoff hunt, etc. So that's a tough one for me. What do you have, Bills or Dolphins?
I'm taking the Bills.
I'm going Dolphins only because they're at home. Like when it's like I don't know which one to pick, I'll go with the home team. All right. All right. Who else do you want to do? Give us 3 more.
Tampa Bay, Detroit.
Wow, Baker Mayfield actually looked really good.
I know he did. He looked really good. That's why. But Detroit's Detroit. So
who did Detroit just play?
They just played. Who did they play? I don't
know.
remember.
Can't remember, but they won, right? It was a good team. Oh, it was the Rams.
Yeah, that's right. Sunday night.
Yeah, and the Lions won that game, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Are they playing in Detroit?
I believe so.
Oh, I can look real quick. Yeah, I'll go Lions.
Well, yes, I'll take Tampa Bay. Good. I wanted Tampa.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Lions are at home.
Yeah, and it's Detroit has a 7-point line spread.
Okay, here's another one. How about Indiana, Colts and Green Bay? I mean, now Green Bay doesn't have a quarterback. Now they're playing the Colts. So now who do you got?
Well, Indiana has a 3.5-point line spread, but they're at home, so they kind of give 3. So they're even saying it's almost a toss-up.
Yeah.
But I can't believe the Packers would win that game without Jordan Love, even though the Colts are still young. And I'll go. They're in Green Bay. I'll go Packers on that one. What about you?
I'm going to take the Packers too.
Okay.
I think the Packers will come back and beat Indy. And then let's go with your team, Houston and Chicago.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. You're taking Houston?
Yeah, I'm taking Houston.
I'm taking Houston too. We had to have an easy one.
Are they in? Yeah, they're in Houston as well. That's a 6.5-point line spread. It's a Sunday night game. Bears and Texans. Who knows? Maybe they learned a lot. First game was a rookie quarterback. Maybe they'll light it up next week. But I don't think so.
Then no.
Yeah. All right. And I forgot to put that up. Good morning, Dirk, and good morning, Patty. So, all right, there's our picks. We'll see how we do next week.
So let me do one more sports thing here, and it's going to take a couple minutes.
Sure.
What's your take on have you watched the video of Tyreek Hill?
Yes.
What do you think?
Boy, I have to be careful. Well, when it first kind of came out and the news was about it, and I was reading stories throughout the game, because what's going on. So I was reading some stories about it. It was very little information. But what Tyreek said, and then his agent said, and then what he said afterwards, I started thinking, all right, hold on. If I've learned anything, is I need to know the whole story first. I'm not going to say that he was mistreated. I'm not going to say he was right or wrong. I have no idea, but I want to wait for more. Well, then the video came out, I think, last night, and I watched that, and I'm like, all right. And actually, I think I actually was, as usual, thinking about you and going, see, that's why that stuff's important. Because it's always if you just do what they tell you to do, you're fine. And when you don't, that's when bad things happen. Now, it wasn't that bad, let's face it. Right. He just got, he wasn't complying, handcuffed, and laid down for a couple minutes, and then he was, cited and then left. It wasn't like this horrific video of a cop beating somebody. It wasn't that. So, I'm glad I'm glad they released it.
Me too. And I think that's why they released it.
I think so too. Yeah, I guess I don't have a strong opinion either way, but I'm fine with how the whole thing went down. I really am fine with it until I see anything else that tells me that I shouldn't be fine with it. I'm fine with how the whole thing went down. What about you?
And I thought at first the cop was maybe a little aggressive. And then I'm like, we walked up to the car and he knocked on the window because the window wasn't down yet. And some people, and then right away, Hill starts yelling, "Don't knock on my window so hard!" And I mean, what? He didn't pound on the window. So, and then he rolls it back up, and and who calls their agent right away? I mean, when you're on a traffic stop, these guys know that they're. To me, it was a little grandstanding. Listen, roll your window down. Is all he asks is, "Hey, keep your window down." It's a safety thing for officers. If he leaves his window down. It's not like it's loud. It's not like they were on the highway or the freeway or something like that.
And there's a reason they pulled him over.
Right. He was speeding. I mean,
speeding, driving recklessly. I can't remember what he was cited for. Curtis Emerson, ticket and release. Something tells me the officer had him on his fantasy team. That's brilliant, Curtis.
Right. And he was ticketed and released. And I'm glad he's released. I'm glad he was. But, I mean, everybody can learn from this one on both sides of the fence is what I think. But I don't think the cop did anything wrong. I mean, it's a safety thing, to be honest, they should have probably de-escalated and said, hey, he rolled his dark tinted windows up and he's not rolling it back down. I'm taking a better stance than standing in front of the window pounding on it, because what if he has a gun? I mean, I'm not saying Tyreek Hill did. I'm not saying,
but you don't know. It doesn't matter if Tyreek Hill or anybody.
Right. I mean, you don't that's a safety thing, an officer safety thing. Maybe the tint was illegal. I don't know what the Miami rules are, but it was dark tint. So I just thought it was interesting. I wanted to get your take on it. I don't think
What do you think about the one thing I found interesting was that the officer was immediately put on paid administrative leave.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, well, it has to be just because of the high profile case, right? It's a national news, sports news. Everybody's talking about it. Because you don't put someone on paid administrative leave for just doing that. Right? I mean, typically, right? It's like if this, that seemed, I'm not saying they did it wrong. They absolutely should have just to avoid anything. But I mean, typically if that happens and, he doesn't sit down, doesn't comply, and like, fine, I'm going to put you on the ground and I'm going to handcuff you for a couple minutes. I mean, I wouldn't say a normal thing, but that's usually not something you see somebody get put on paid administrative leave for, right?
It might be, and no, I would agree with you, but it might be strictly from a safety thing. These fans are intense. And, when somebody misses a field goal, they get death threats and all this. I mean, it's silly. It's ridiculous. So it strictly might be from an officer safety standpoint. Like, that guy can't be out there stopping another car because everybody's going to recognize him as the cop that pulled over Tyreek, and they're going to get instantly angry with him or something. So it might be strictly a safety thing. They didn't, doesn't have to go home and sit. He's just he's on a desk duty or whatever that is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it might be. Well, it did say paid administrative leave, so he might be. But
honestly, I just thought it was because it was a high-profile case.
I think I'd have reassigned him to a different division or just a desk for a while because of maybe a safety purposes. But I'd like to see the chief come out and make a statement.
Well, in a little bit,
transparent. But how much investigation do you need to do? I mean, it's not like it's let's do the investigation and make a determination. It doesn't need to have a 6-week investigation into it. It was a 30-second traffic stop. Let's decide who was right and who was wrong, and let's come out and say it. That's what I like. I mean, I know you have to do some things. They released the video, so now everybody's going to make their own judgment. So you might also make your judgment as a discipline, or if you're going to discipline him, discipline, and if you're going to say Tyreek was wrong, so I just wanted to get your opinion on it.
Well, so I was really paying attention to what Tyreek was going to say after this, and honestly, for the most part, it was mostly good. If not all of it. Like, he didn't say, "Oh, those stupid cops," and this is all racist. Didn't go into that.
I like cops.
Yep, he did bring up one interesting point, though, was what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? And now I don't. It's just something to think about. We don't want to assume that if it wasn't Tyreek Hill and it was somebody else, whether black or white or whatever, that it would have gone differently. I would like to think it wouldn't because, again, it was just a simple traffic stop citation, whatever. I'm glad they didn't throw a lot more fire on that because I think this could have really, based on what Tyreek Hill was going to say or whatever he wanted to say, he really could have taken this to another level.
Right.
And that would have gotten a lot of people fired up. So I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah, and I don't know maybe if they knew he was Tyreek Hill or not. I don't know. Maybe if you don't like sports, you don't watch sports, you don't know who Tyreek Hill is. I mean,
that's true. Oh, I didn't know that they issued a press release as well. Michelle says, "Oh, yeah, well, that's Fitzy. Good job, Fitzy, for bringing it up."
I mean, I don't think the cop did wrong. It's a safety thing, and so. But it's interesting.
Yeah.
But
Curtis says in many southern states, tint rules are that's actually true, and the reason for that, I believe anyway, is because it's so hot.
The heat.
Right. So,
and I would agree with that. So
I know it gets really hot here in Spooner, which is why I have. I'm not saying illegally tinted windows. I'm just saying darker tinted windows. It's up to interpretation for some people.
Right.
All right. So
now we can go on. Sorry.
Now we can. No, I'm glad you brought that up. I really am. I think that's important. I mean, we've always talked about this stuff, in the past. To be clear, though, I'm not saying, because you know how much I support law enforcement, it's not no, cops are right and the bad guys are always the bad guys. That's not where I'm standing on this. No. It's just looking at everything. It's like, no, it seems as though everything was on the up and up. And you're right. Could it have been a little less verbally forceful? Sure, but I mean, holy cow, talk about sports Monday morning quarterbacking. I mean, I'm not there.
But I also don't. We think about it from Wisconsin law enforcement or rural Wisconsin law enforcement, and they think about it from, where people have drugs and guns in their cars every day of the week in Miami. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is.
The likelihood would be a lot higher.
Law enforcement here versus law enforcement in Minneapolis. Some of the things that we see in Minneapolis wouldn't happen here, but we don't deal with every person having a warrant or a gun or being shot at, or we don't have shootings every weekend. If we had shootings every weekend, we'd handle traffic stops differently. Now we handle them safely and everything, but so it's all of a perception thing of the area that you're in, and maybe people carry guns there and it needs to be safer. I don't know. So it's really interesting standpoint, and everybody will learn from this. And again, I think it can be, as Tyreek Hill, and I'll give him credit for saying it, we all need to learn and we all can be better.
Agreed. All right, we're going to get to a couple of the press releases that you put out yesterday, including that high-speed chase. We'll do that in 15 seconds after a word from Spooner Health.
Spooner Health, compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
Hey, did you see they on their Facebook page, Spooner Health, they had like a 2.5 minute long thing. And I have a comment like, that's legit. Like that was exceptionally well done. So I keep forgetting I need to text Michelle at Spooner Health and say, send that to us. And then at the end of the show, we'll just run it. So it won't be like a 2.5 minute long break in the middle of our show, because I just want people to see that if they haven't. That was fantastic.
Was that the employee satisfaction?
I don't remember. I remember thinking it was awesome last week, but to be honest, I don't remember what it was about. It was about Spooner Health.
If you really listen to the words of that, and congratulations to Spooner Health for that, it was and it's impressive. And they talk about how we were down here in the bottom percentile, and now we're at the top percentile, like literally the top percentile you can get. And that's when a business can say we're not perfect and we're going to get better. That's pretty impressive. That's impressive. No one wants to admit that they're bad. And that's why I think we've had some success on this show, saying, hey, we don't think that everything a cop does is right. We don't think everything a bad guy does is wrong. So I think that's impressive when you can admit your faults. That's leadership at its best, and congratulations to them.
No kidding. I mean, there's things like on Dryden where I don't think there's anything I've done that I wouldn't have done again.
Right.
But there's things that I, after action report type stuff using cop language that, but if I was going to do it again, I would have done it differently.
Right.
And so sometimes I get called out for something and it's, you're right. I should have done it a little bit differently. But you got to learn from that. Right. If you don't, jeepers, you're never going to get better.
None of us are perfect.
Well, Mrs. Dryden here at the house, I would say, is the closest to perfect.
She's a saint. We know that.
Pretty much. All right. So we had two headlines yesterday, or our headlines from yesterday, two press releases you sent out. First one here is, this was our headline: fatal head-on crash on Highway SS, 1 dead, 2 injured in near Hagen collision. For people who didn't see that, what was that about?
So Friday night about 9 o'clock, we had a report of a crash. It actually came in as just a single vehicle crash from an OnStar crash detection device, which are very impressive. And the technology, technology changes, on a side topic, this technology in your phone, your smartwatch, your car, this crash detection alert are very accurate. Sometimes it's not, but for the most part, they're accurate.
Wait a minute, you can't say they're very accurate, but sometimes they're not.
Well, they're accurate. Yeah, that's a political term. They're very.
I'm always right, accurate, except when I'm not. Yeah.
But they're accurate in the fact that sometimes they're not crashes. Sometimes I'm just riding on a snowmobile, so they're accurate in the fact that your watch or your phone took a ride. It flew off your pile in your car and hit the dash.
Wasn't that when Apple Watches first came out and they had that? Weren't there a whole bunch of reports like people on roller coasters?
Right.
So like that they're getting, it was calling and
ski hills. We see that in ski hills,
Oh,
so I'm saying they're accurate. I'm not always saying the storyline behind it.
I get it. Okay.
So, but anyway, so we had this crash. It was a very violent crash. The scene was about a quarter mile long, because after the impact, the truck traveled about a quarter mile. So the scene was very long. The car started on fire.
Hold on real quick.
Yeah,
I did want to ask you about that because I was reading it and it said I don't know what you can say about it, but what would cause that? It's like I was trying to picture that. How does the vehicles crash and then one just keep going? Do you know how that how does that happen?
Yeah, I think I know, but I don't think I should comment on that. So I believe I know, or I can make the determination, but
okay.
any number of factors. I mean, can
Let's
make
just skip
it.
that part. Sure.
Kept going. I mean, they just hit, perfectly in one angled, and just one kept going, and then one rolled into the ditch and started on fire. I don't know how they do that. I mean, but it was fully engulfed when I rolled up on scene. Firemen were there putting it out. We were rendering aid. Passerbyers, hats off to the passerbyers. Many passerbyers were there rendering aid, doing all they could. They were able to get the passenger and the driver out of this burning vehicle before they had burnt. The driver was killed and deceased at the scene. He was a 60-year-old male from the Cameron area. The passenger was injured but refused medical treatment and was released. The driver of the other car was flown out. Alcohol is a contributing factor in that one. It was reconstructed, but just a bad scene. Not, none of them are fun. I'm not trying to make fun's not the right word, but none of them are good scenes. But this one wasn't a good scene. This was just a bad scene. It was chaotic. It was the distance between the vehicles. You had to go run down here and walk back here and run back down to get some more equipment and run back. And it was just a different scene. And there was just a lot of confusion, congestion. There was people still traveling, trying to get through. It was just a lot going on. I don't know why this one seems different to me, but it was a lot going on with this scene. And, and they were all local people. But hats out to our firemen and the passerbyers. Again, everybody stayed and helped and did whatever they could. And there isn't a lot you can do. And then maybe that's some of the frustration, is there wasn't a lot we could do to help save the person. So
are there certain scenes, I think we've talked about this before. I've always wondered how you compartmentalize this. And law enforcement has to. First responders have to. EMS, firefighters. You have to. But you can't all the time. And I've always wondered, like, you're going to have like one thing that maybe it isn't that dissimilar from something else that you've done, right? It's a fatal crash. I've been to these. I know how to compartmentalize, right? I don't let the emotion get in. Maybe later on it'll affect me a little bit. Nope, got a job to do. Totally get it. But then I would assume that every once in a while, just kind of randomly, like, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional about this one, right? Or like, why is this impacting me so much? Because that has to just be a random thing that happens. Now, maybe there's like specific reasons. Maybe you knew the person that died, or et cetera. But I don't mean you. I mean first responders in general, people that are at these scenes. Mm-hmm. So this one, when you say that it was a different scene for you, do you think this was because of those factors, or is it for some reason? Man, I don't know why this one it got to me a little bit.
No, I think one, we talk so much about it. I think alcohol is a contributing factor on this one. I'm probably on both sides of the fence on this one. This is going to be a criminal case, and I think we want to make sure we do it perfectly. We haven't had one of these for a while. We've had fatalities, but most of them are one vehicle, or the person that maybe is at fault dies, things like that. So the criminal case isn't as big. This one's going to be a criminal case, or more than likely going to be. Well, it's going to be a criminal case, and so down the road, this is going to be a criminal case. So one, you want to dot all your I's and cross all your T's on this. So I think that has something to play in it. I think frustrated because it's 9:00 at night and there's an alcohol related crash, and that could have been any of us on the road. So I think I'm thinking more frustrated than I am anything, and I can't figure out how to stop it. I was going to, before these two crashes happened, I was doing some things last week, and we just got our stats for alcohol, and we're already at the number of OWIs last year to date, and we have 4 months to go.
What?
Yeah. So I think I'm frustrated. I think I'm beyond frustrated for alcohol related things. And then you get those numbers, and we've been talking about it. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. How many times
have an exit strategy, right? You're going to go to the bar. Great. Just plan ahead. Assume you're not going to make a good decision after you're 6 beers deep. You're not going to. So just have a plan before you even get there. Right. We've talked about this many times.
Yeah. And I think, if we did 201 shows, we've talked about it 201 times. And probably. I don't know how much more that I can do. and that's frustrating. Can I do more? So I'm not frustrated about the crash. I'm frustrated about, can the sheriff's department do more here? Can we do more? Is it the DA? Is it the judges? Is it this community? Is it everybody? And I think everybody needs to step up here. And I don't want to use this as a platform, not using a death as a platform, but we always do, because when something really bad happens, when there needs to be gun control in the school shooting or whatever the topic is, but it's time to, I'm telling you, we're already over 90 OWIs for the year. We had 88 last year, and we have 4 months to go. And a couple bigger months, December, November, are bigger months for OWIs because people are out drinking and driving. I'm telling people, don't drink and drive. We don't need this stuff. I don't need our cops going through this. So I guess that's my soapbox for today. I think that's my frustration. It's not so much the scene. I wanted to make sure we do it for the victims. Make sure our crime scenes, when we have a scene like this, that they're done correctly. And that takes a lot of people. And I had to call lots of cops in, and the state patrol, and everybody has to do their part, and we got it all. I mean, I'm very happy with how our people handle it, but they just suck. They just suck doing death notifications, and it just sucks.
The frustration. I think if I would have to define, I don't know the definition of frustration, but if I had to guess, it must be something along the lines of having a problem that I don't know how to fix.
Yeah.
Right. That's what leads to the frustration. I mean, if it's a problem, I can fix the problem, but it's the ones that I'm like, I don't know how to fix this. I mean, what else can I do? So I think I understand what you mean by being frustrated. So is that something are you meeting with your team, or just like you in your own mind in your office going, okay, what else can I do? I mean, you've done so many things.
Right.
What else is there? I don't mean it like, well, what else is there? I mean, no, there has to be something. What are we not thinking about?
Yeah. And that definitely goes through mind. That's my job. That's what I sit in this chair every day. I don't get to do police work. I got to do this big picture thinking. That's what you guys pay me to do. And I got to go do something, whether it's making a statement, maybe it's something. I don't know what it is yet, and I'll get there and we'll do it. And maybe this is it. Maybe this is, people will replay this scene here and say, holy balls, he's frustrated. Yeah, dang right, I'm frustrated. I can't beg you guys enough to not drink and drive. I don't know what the answer is, and I get it. There's an addiction out there, and some people, but maybe it's the courts, maybe it's whatever. Need to keep people in jail longer, and I don't know. I know that's not the answer, but maybe
it's a feel good. It's a feel good answer. But you and I have talked about it before. I mean, how much would it really stop? Now, if it's just like one or two like deaths, well, even if it's just one, that's totally worth it. But how do you really? Yeah, Curtis says secondary. We were talking about the impacts, and secondary trauma is a very real concerning issue with our first responders. I hope all the Leos or first responders take the appropriate steps to help with, even when it's not the tough thing to do. I think you and I have talked before about this as well, but it's been a while about the stigma of whether it's law enforcement or EMS or whomever, but specifically law enforcement, because that's under your umbrella. That's your world. Right. About. It used to be, I think anyway, 20, 30 years ago, or however many years ago, cops just, nut up. Just, swallow it. It's, right. Just do your job. Right. Where now it's a little bit more okay to say, I need to talk to someone. After crashes like this, right. Do you have things set up? Do you let people know? Or is it just like everybody knows, hey, if you need some time, just let us know? Or do you like proactively remind people, like, how do you keep an eye on your team after they're at places like this? What do you do after that?
We talk about it. I mean, and that's having conversations like this with our team. We do. We probably don't do it the best we should be doing, but we have things in place for them if they need to reach out. It's okay to reach out. I think everybody, at least I believe everybody in my department knows that we have an internal team, we have an external team. You can reach out internally, you can reach out externally. So we have both things. So you don't have to go to the professional. We have people inside our department. We jokingly call them the hug cops, but they're cops? Being used. The hug cops, hug HUG.
I love it.
So do I. I mean,
That's
we have
awesome.
to joke about it.
Yeah.
And but they're being used. I don't know that I know they're being used. I don't know who's going to see them and what they're talking about. This is all secret stuff unless they say, hey, let's go reach out to administration and they'll help us do this. We just had somebody reach out about a personal issue and we helped that person through a personal issue because the HUG cop couldn't, get them through that. So my chief deputy and myself got through the next step. We have some contacts. We can help people do different things. So yeah, I don't think it's like that. I think it's more of I think our cops are frustrated because they're arresting so many people for OWI. People are, drunk people aren't easy to deal with, and we're dealing with more of that. And, drugs is still out there and we're still working on this. And so, yeah, I think it's just frustrating for law enforcement. I think it's okay to be frustrated. But if you think you're getting a break, you're probably not going to get a break. And I don't think we're giving breaks, but I think we're going to be out there more looking for this as we get more frustrated, as we say, man, we can't keep up on the number of OWIs in a weekend, whatever it is. So, it's just something that we, need to keep talking about, obviously, but we got to do a better job at it.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing the one for the criminal complaint to get filed, and we'll certainly do our part because no kidding. And again, I feel like we say this all the time. We've talked about it before. 201 shows. We've probably talked about everything at some point or not. But that's one of the reasons that we do those stories. We do the criminal complaints, and we do this. It isn't to put people on blast, but it's to hopefully, ideally, in a perfect world, people will see this, and if the district attorney's office, based on the evidence they have and all this thing, they take this very seriously. And as you know, we follow every story to the very end, regardless of the outcome, and hopefully there's a significant penalty for this. I mean, not penalty. Let's face it. If there's not prison time, I'm going to freak out as long as everything kind of lines up right. But, right. Ideally, then other people would see this and go, man, it's a reminder. I got to stop. Every once in a while I do drink and drive. I have to stop doing that. That's kind of the goal behind it, is to hopefully almost like a deterrent.
Right. Either one was intoxicated. I'm saying alcohol is a contributing factor to this crash. We're going through the thing on this, and I believe it's going to be. But we'll see. We're going to get the results, and we'll know these answers. But I don't know. There's a contributing factor to this because one of the vehicles crossed the center line. So, and the people going the other way were just driving down the road. And at 9:00 at night, that could have been me and you and our families and my kids and your kids. And that's what pisses me off. So there.
All right. Well, I won't say they better get prison because I don't know all the facts, the special circumstances, and details. I'll wait till the criminal complaint comes out. But you know what? If somebody is dead and it's somebody else's fault, now, and then if you throw in other factors, I'll wait for the criminal complaint before.
We'll wait for it. Yep, it's coming.
All right. So the other thing that you sent out yesterday, and thanks for kind of talking about that, Chris. The other one, which was a little not confusing. So you sent like these 3 press releases, and I didn't actually read the email. I just saw 3 press releases. So I get the first one is Rice Lake Police Department. I'm like, why is Chris sending a Rice Lake? Whatever. So I'm getting the story ready, and before I hit publish, I'm like, wait, what's the other one? Maybe I should do the other one first. And I bring it up, and I'm like, and that was one from you. And it's, but wait, there was another high-speed chase?
Yeah.
Wait, at the same time? What's going on? And I realized there were 2, like one from Rice Lake and one from you. Like theirs was like their version of it, or what happened when they were doing it, and then it kind of transitioned into your department. So I'm like, I don't even know how to do 2 press releases at once. I figured it out. But for people who didn't see that, our headline was high-speed chase through Rice Lake and Barron County results in arrests. I believe only one person ended up in custody. Another one was released. But a lot of people yesterday morning, was getting a lot of messages. Hey, you know what's going on at this high-speed chase?
It was a big deal because the timing of the night. Yeah. There was a disturbance at a local restaurant in Rice Lake. Rice Lake PD was en route to that restaurant to investigate that disturbance. As they were going there, they met a car at a very high rate of speed, an extremely high rate of speed on Main Street in the city of Rice Lake. They weren't chasing it. They were going the opposite direction. Obviously, I don't, so they met the squad cars. The squad car turned around and said, this person's driving recklessly. I need to stop it. So I think that's the key point, because I've read some of the comments on Facebook, and I probably shouldn't read them, but you shouldn't chase. We base our chases on traffic patterns. businesses, school zones, weather, lots of different things go into these decisions to chase. And so Rice Lake PD attempted to stop this car, which was driving recklessly. They had no idea if it was tied to the call that they were on. They believed it was based on some descriptions. But I believe one cop continued to the scene of this, wherever the incident, the disturbance was. The other two deputy or officers tried to stop this vehicle. The vehicle failed to stop for them, was driving recklessly, and a chase ensued. They chased it out of town on Double S all the way to like 26th, then it came back down and it came south on Highway 53. Then it did a U-turn on the highway and was going to go down the on-ramp, and it hit a squad car, disabling that squad car. We then picked up the chase, went through the city of Rice Lake a little bit more, almost into the lake. It almost crashed into the lake, and then up and then out of town on Highway 48. We were then the lead vehicles in that chase, and we chased it, and it ultimately crashed just outside of McConna, just before Birchwood there. And both subjects were taken out of the car at gunpoint. Some people think, well, they crashed. He should have been rendering aid. Both people were talking. We didn't know what they were wanted for. We didn't know who we were chasing. We didn't know. We knew the car. That's all we knew. We didn't know the two people inside. We didn't know their status. So, yes, we had our guns out on Highway 48. We were waiting to get them out. Then the person decided to get out of the car by himself. One person was taken out and was arrested. They were both taken into custody. They were both treated at the hospital. The passenger was released. He wasn't wanted. I don't know if he'll get charged for the disorderly at the establishment. That's down the road. But he wasn't being charged with anything. The driver was arrested for reckless driving, fleeing an officer, OWI causing injury. So again, alcohol is a contributing factor. 6:30 at night. This is at 6:30 p.m. on a Sunday. So, if you go down the city of Rice Lake, I get it. Main Street can be busy, but all the businesses were closed on a Sunday night. There wasn't a lot of traffic. There was traffic. Don't get me wrong. People had to get out of the way. All of those factors go into play for law enforcement, though. We don't take this very lightly at all. At one point, I thought about discontinuing the chase, but then it turned down to a highway where there was zero traffic. The weather was perfect. We didn't know who we were chasing. They could have robbed. They could have been wanted. We don't know who we were chasing. And everybody's like, well, use your camera system. That would have got us the license plate of the car. Well, ended up the owner of the car was the passenger, but we wouldn't have got the driver if we'd have just let it go. And sometimes we let them go. We do not win every battle. There's no question about this. And so there's a lot of questions back and forth. But we got the bad guys. The bad guys in jail. And you'll look for a criminal complaint probably today or tomorrow, one of the two. So
how does that work when obviously the Rice Lake Police, they were going out of, you said Double S, so they're going out of their jurisdiction, right? Now they can still actively pursue someone, and let's say they did pull them over. Then it's not like you can't give them a ticket because you're technically not in Rice Lake, and my understanding is no, that's not true. If it happened in Rice Lake, you can actually go. But then
they could have chased him to Madison. It's a felony. It's
in your city, right? Authority. So you said Barron County then kind of takes over this chase. One, why, and two, how does that get communicated? So everybody knows, and is that like a thing? Like, okay, this is the sheriff. This is our case now. Get out of here.
No, they were down a squad. They only had 3 cars on. We had 4 cars on. I was involved, and then I wasn't involved in the actual chase. I was trying to catch up to it, but I wasn't going to do that. But they had a car disabled. They had to check on their people. It was leaving the city. They needed to stay. One car usually has to stay in the city. We weren't going to send all 4 of our cars on a high-speed chase to Madison. Somebody has to stay in the other things happen in the world, so you can't just leave your city or your county unprotected. So so there's decisions that go into this. And once their car was one of their squads was disabled, our cars had caught up to it by then because they were doing circles. So by that time, our cars were involved, and it just made sense for us to continue. Washburn County, we almost made it to the Washburn County line. Washburn County was coming to help us. We had communicated with them as when it was pointed in their direction. We always say, hey, it might make it to Washburn, it might not. So they had deputies coming to help us. So it's just all through radio communication.
Now it's going to sound like I'm joking here, but I don't. But referencing going back to that Tyreek Hill thing in the officer paid administrative leave, people that were involved in this, the ones that finally their guns were out and the person, nope. I mean, are they on paid administrative leave?
Nope. They did fine. They did their job. They went to work and kept going that night. Arrested more people. So
which proves my point. I think that cop in the Tyreek Hill thing, the reason he's on paid administrative leave is simply because it was such a high profile national thing.
100%.
Because I just don't see how in the world.
It comes down to officer safety. I don't think.
Okay.
I think that that cop is going to get death threats because of this. It's so silly.
It is
that because some high profile guy and everybody's like, well, that's my favorite running back or receiver.
Well, thankfully he had a really good game. Like Tyreek Hill had a great game, like 80-yard touchdown. Because if he didn't and they lost, that would have been worse for that cop.
That would have been worse for the cop. I 100% agree. Ooh. So people take their football a little too seriously.
I know. Come on, it's just a game.
But it's fun. All of our deputies and officers did an unbelievable job. Again, fire department came, helped us. We got all the bad guys in jail. No one got hurt. Yes, people could have got hurt. We take that into account on everything we do every time. When we pull our guns out of our holster, to drive fast, to even just going to a call, we're very careful. We're using if you listen to the radio traffic, weather's clear, light traffic. That was repeated several times. So, he did run a stop sign at one time. Then we take that into account. Like if this guy's going to continue to run stop signs, but this guy was doing this act before he was even he knew the police were behind him.
So regardless,
he was running stop signs and doing this beforehand. So to me, we need to stop that person because he was doing it before the police were chasing him. So that means there was other contributing factors to why he was doing that. Why was he doing this? Because he was intoxicated. I don't know his level of intoxication, but alcohol is a contributing factor in this case. So why is all that going on? That's why you have police and sheriffs and everybody. So when somebody's doing something bad, it's our job to stop that. And we made that decision, and I believe it was the right decision, and everybody did what they were supposed to do.
Well, it seemed like the right decision because it all ended up going well. And by the way, how often do you really hear, not that it couldn't happen and not that it has happened sometime, how often do you really hear sheriff's deputy or police officer, crashes into, I don't know, pedestrian during a high-speed chase or something and kills it's well, I mean, you guys train for this stuff, right?
Yeah, no, we don't want it. No, it doesn't happen, but it could have happened. There was people out riding their bikes, and there's a video of some guy that was fishing on the lake, and he took video of the chase. Awesome. You see this angle of this.
We had someone on our Facebook page. I haven't watched it yet. It was like a 2-minute clip and said, I watched the whole thing. And then somebody commented on it and was like, the commentary on this was like epic. And so I want to go and listen to it or watch it. I just haven't had a chance to yet.
That one.
Was it good?
Yeah. It was good. I mean, he's like, he thought he videotaped a crash. He's like, I got a high-speed chase on it.
I can't wait to watch it now.
Yeah, don't put it on your Facebook because it's got some expletives, but it's good. I mean,
well, it's in our comments on our Facebook page, but
right.
It's the comments.
But hats off to everybody that did a
good job, guys.
And the bad guys in jail, and that's the goal here. No one got hurt. The bad guys in jail, and I trust in our deputies and our officers' judgment on keeping our community safe. That's what you pay us for.
All right, Dirk, let us know when you have your weather forecast. I was surprised you didn't end up in the lake. I thought he was going for a drink.
There's no question. I thought he was going to, and actually all of our people did.
Really?
So he made the turn magically. I don't know how. But yeah, he's driving his buddy's car, so his buddy's not happy with him, I'm sure, because his buddy doesn't have a car anymore.
Right.
But
how bad was that Rice Lake squad damage? Injured?
I heard it got one of the wheels was hit and did some damage, and one wheel was pointed one way and one wheel was the other way. So it was disabled right there on the highway. So it had to be towed and needs some work. And yeah.
All right. Well, here's our weather forecast from our official weatherman, Dirk Miller. Once again, we'll have to deal with elevated smoke. I doubt it will mix down the surface. Is that still Canada? Are they still on fire? It's been like 2 years.
Man, we should have gave them some snow this winter.
Oh, you see, Dave Wilson was up in Canada this last week, and I saw on his Facebook page, and I talked to him about when he got back, that he couldn't go on the Dryden Wire or go on Facebook, or he couldn't go on like other like news outlets. Did you know that's illegal in Canada? You cannot go to news sites on Facebook.
Oh.
You can't. Like, you could go to, like, he could go to drydenwire.com, but you can't go to Dryden Wire's Facebook page to see the content, and he had a screenshot of it and what it looks like. It says, this is, it's illegal in Canada. I'm like, no, it isn't. That's stupid. No, come to find out, that's true.
How do they even know that you're in Canada? I mean, our phones are magical.
I don't know. That's crazy. But apparently it's still on fire, too. What a stupid country. Wednesday through Friday, summer temps will have a simmering through Friday. Good news, it won't be as baking or put in the blast furnace. Highs in the lower to mid. Oh, wow, 80s. Summer's back. Jeepers. Lows will remain in the 50s, so that's nice in the evening. Smoke. So smoke is like the new rain. chance of smoke. Although the forecast is to move out of the area tomorrow afternoon. Wouldn't make any bets on that yet. And then lastly, this weekend, temps cooling off in the 70s, around 80. Wow, this looks like a beautiful weekend. Lows in the 50s and 60s. Here's the part of the forecast that's tricky. There's a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, of course. With that said, we would end up being dry as well. Models are having a hard time. Okay. So it looks like a gorgeous weekend, maybe some rain and thunderstorms. Yeah. And he said, yeah, it's from Canada. And the what? Oh, Western states? That gets all the way over here? I don't know. Weather's weird.
Weather is.
I don't understand that. Hey, one more last prediction.
All right.
Who's going to win the debate tonight? It's the big ones. Trump and Kamala Harris. Who's gonna tomorrow morning? What are all the pundits gonna say? Because they're the ones who decide like who wins and loses.
I don't think Trump can keep his mouth shut. He'll wreck it.
Yeah. I think
that's why everybody tunes in, because he's gonna say something. If he, Kamala's gonna win the debate.
All right. So here's my prediction. Neither will, for the first time ever. It will
probably
be Kamala, because she's not very super great at public speaking anyway, and she's so easy to make fun of. I mean, just like in her, she's weird, and her weird cackle laugh. And you're right, and Trump is going to be at moments brilliant, and at other times a dumpster fire.
Right.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be absolutely terrible. It's must-watch TV. It's going to be terrible. I'm not going to watch it. I can't. There's no way. I can't wait reading about it tomorrow morning. But I don't think there's going to be a clear favorite. It's going to be this person won on a few, this one won on a few, but they were both, terrible.
Right. Terrible.
Because they are both, terrible.
Right.
All right, cool. What do you have coming up this week?
West Bend Power play this weekend, so we're going to hockey.
West Bend, where's that?
Power.
That's Minneapolis, right?
No, that's Milwaukee. But we're not. They play away. We're going to Rochester. But they have their first game. So here we go. Season starts.
And he's not injured anymore?
He's not, and we're back playing.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that'll be fun.
That's right. What are you doing?
Start talking about that. I don't know. I have Tom Tiffany on the show this Thursday. Other than that, no, I haven't really mapped it out. I don't really know.
Right.
It'll be great.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks so much. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Dryden Wire founder Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience as locally owned and operated business, provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Give them a call today. See what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. We'll see you right back here next week for another exciting episode of Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy. So until then, thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.